I'm Sean Lane, and I'm asking y'all to subscribe to heritagehiphop.com.
Peace and love, everybody watching Heritage Hip Hop. If you know how much I love Mayhem, you would know this face right here. And the best part about what we're about to do, we're going to introduce you to something new and something that you always wanted that you didn't know you wanted. Please introduce yourself.
I'm Sean Lane. They call me SL. I play S on the show. Currently now, we're doing Loyalty and Control, new web series.
Alright, well thank you for coming to Heritage Hip Hop.
Absolutely.
When Mr. Keys was on, I had a stand on it. I'm going to have one here too.
Okay.
Mayhem to me was the best web series to ever come out of New Jersey, period. And it was in my top 3 web series of all time.
Okay.
The reason why is because every character had a lane that could be branched out. Before we get into characterization, tell us a little bit about you and why you wanted to be in a web series.
Well, when it comes to the web series thing, period, it wasn't something that I just woke up one day and said I want to be in a web series. Actually, they came to me and they was like, listen, you know, got a character that we think you fit, like you've been through it before, you know it well, and we just, you know, I'm not an actor, so to me it was just like, I'm gonna be myself on camera. And as time went on, you know, I started picking it up on how to do it, whatever the case is, but truthfully, I want to be an actor. real talk. You know, it was just something to do, and I actually started liking it. So now it's like a passion for me.
I feel that because part of passion is opening up doors.
Right.
And in our community, a lot of people have doors shut on them before they can be introduced to the world.
Yep.
Most people fall into music. You say you fell into acting. What is it about life that made acting very easy for you?
Well, the character that I played on the web series was like real life experiences for me.
Okay.
So it was kind of easy in a way to get on the screen and basically play myself.
Okay.
So, you know, that made it a little easier. Maybe if I had to play something that I wasn't used to, it might have been a little bit more difficult, but because this is something that I experienced, it was kind of easy for me.
You know what's interesting about you saying that? A lot of people have an issue with being themselves in life, period.
Right.
So then when you have to be yourself on camera, now the world takes notice to yourself.
Yep.
Now, I'm a faithful man, so I believe in knowledge of self. But some people take the knowledge of self and pervert it into the knowledge of self-righteousness, self-preservation, or self over others.
Okay.
You having knowledge of yourself, being able to be easy on camera means that the camera didn't bring out no flaws. It just highlighted more of your secrets and your strengths.
Right.
What was a weakness you found on camera that you worked on?
Actually, like, when I look at myself on camera, and you know, my character was being portrayed as this big time drug dealer and whatever the case is. Although it was life experiences, I'm in a whole different lane right now. So I look at it differently now. You know, when you're actually living the life I was living, you look at that and you praise it. And at that time, you don't really feel like you're doing anything wrong, you know. But when you look at it from the outside looking in, it's like, wow, you know, that was me and this is me now. It's like the growth, you know, I'm looking at the growth. And one of the weaknesses was I wasn't grown as a person. But now I could sit back and say, I've grown. I went from this point to this point.
That's dope, because a lot of people in today's society don't want to grow. We have a lot of people that's stuck in the now and don't think about the later.
Right.
Legacies is something Heritage Hip Hop is very big on, because if you don't establish a legacy, you live for nothing. So far in your legacy, you have one acting credit under your belt.
Right.
So you have already established the fact that you are a talent and a visionary. What vision does a man turned actor take into his future rather than just saying I did this and not move on?
Well, you know what? Let me rewind a little bit. Before this acting thing, I was actually a rapper, and I was actually doing shows and all type of stuff. Deals on the table, but at the same time, like I said, it's all one big experience for me. You know, so when I did choose to become and do this acting thing, my thing was I'm not just gonna stop right here. You know, I'm a person that always sat down and wrote. I wrote songs, I wrote albums. I always had a vision of different things that people couldn't see. And it's the same thing with creating a web series.
That's dope. I say that a lot when somebody makes me think. And the reason why is because I wanted you to define vision. Because most people, all right, let me go back a little bit. If you love hip hop, you do hip hop.
Yeah.
And me, I wrong too at one time. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So that's when you like, yo, what that person does is incredible because I can't do that yet.
Right.
So how do you define vision when what you're talking about is not something that can be seen, it can be felt? What is the vision that you're talking about?
Well, you know what? I look at life, I see life different than I guess everybody else look at it. Like, a lot of people will glorify selling drugs, hustling, whatever the case is. And real hustlers, they look at it as this is something that has to be done. This is a way of life. So when you're talking about creating something for people to watch on the screen and you're basing it off things that you went through, you want to show them the good and the bad. A lot of time people just show the good. They never show the bad. With my vision, I want you to see the whole story. And then I want to touch you, whereas though you could say, you know what? Either I'm going through that or I know somebody that's going through that.
That's a very interesting dynamic because you're talking about telling the truth.
Right.
What's the hardest part about the truth? Is it the pain that's exposed or the pain that's felt?
I say it's equal because the pain with the truth, a lot of people, including myself, you know, you deal with a lot of demons. You deal with skeletons. You at one point in time, I did a lot of things that I'm not proud of right now. And no matter how long it is, you still deal with that from time to time. You know, you don't wake up every day and it's on your mind, but sometimes it's like, damn, you know, and it just hits you. I think that a lot of people don't want to see the truth when it comes to stuff like this, web series, music videos, because when you think about it, these little kids out here, when they watch music videos, they watch these web series, they looking for the guy that's driving in the hot car, the guy that got all the bread, the guy, they don't really want to know about the little kid that's out there in the streets with no money in his pocket, parents not taking care of him. They don't really want to see that part of it. So I say it's like 50-50.
50-50, which is an even split. But life isn't fair, life isn't even. And that's the hardest thing about being a creator, is that you're creating a world inside of a world.
Yes.
And when you put a world, you define a world not in a box, but in public view, that's when the scrutiny comes. That's not real. That doesn't really happen.
Yeah.
Or that's trash. Not understanding that these are stories that define the human experience.
Absolutely.
What you talked about earlier was called flashbulb memory, where you can have a trigger and like you're right there in that spot and you deal with the emotions on the spot.
Yeah.
That's a form of PTSD, which is, I think, what a lot of the people who deal with inner city stories deal with. A mental issue, a pain issue, a truth issue.
Right.
So in creation of the interpretation of pain and truth, what is the most important part of the truth that has to be given if it's all true anyway?
the most important part of the truth is the consequences.
Okay.
The consequences. Because everybody think it's a fairy tale life story. Everybody think you just ride off into the sunset. But the consequences is where the pain comes from. And when I say that, I mean your family could suffer the consequences. You could be dead, you could be locked up for 30 years. Either way, the people that love you are suffering from the consequences.